welcome back to another episode on Dimensional Soul Healing with your host, Gracen Kahn. Today we're going to talk about connecting with your spirit guides and how my first experience went with connecting to my spirit guides. So I know most of you are probably experiencing this. I can't speak for everybody, but I will say this. The second we learn about our spirit guides and who they are and their purpose in our lives, I know most of us go through the experience of, oh my gosh, I just want to talk to them. I want to connect with them. I want to experience them, right? And so after my out-of-body experience that we talked about in the last episode, I remember going to this crystal shop about 10 minutes away from where I live, and I remember I was sitting in a sound bath meditation, and I was so obsessed. Oh my gosh, I was so obsessed with wanting to connect to my spirit guides. I was like, I just want to know you guys are here. I'm literally speaking out loud, sitting in this meditative pose, with my hands on my knees. I'm seated in almost like a lotus position in the yogi terms. Anyways, so I was speaking out loud. I was telepathically speaking. I'm all right, guys, I want to know you're here. Make yourself known. I need to fucking know that you're here. And so I literally felt it. What it felt like was a finger just coming into my energy, my aura, it was getting ready to touch my stomach, they were letting me know that they were there. And it was this nauseous kind of experience, and not in a bad way. So it was a good nauseous feeling. It was this nauseous feeling of, oh my God, you're there and you're making me nauseous because I'm at a low vibration. Oh my gosh, how do I fix this? How do I raise my vibration to meet you where you're at so I can hear you, so I can experience you, you know? And so I was then guided to figuring out how to raise my vibration. I had no idea where to start because most people said at the time, oh, eat, plant-based, eat raw vegan, just all these different things. And, way before my spiritual awakening, I was eating a plant-based diet. And let me tell you, that did not make me any more spiritual. It made me feel good, made me feel clean, but, I'm sure it was activating different cosmic DNA, within my body. But, however, just because I was eating plant-based, it didn't mean I could hear my spirit guides right away kind of thing, And so, yeah, I was how do I raise my vibration organically? What other things can I do? And so that's when I started doing some shadow work. I started healing trapped emotions within my body. And I will never forget this. I went home one day and I started journaling from this crystal shop. I can't even remember what I was writing about, but I had my little journal in front of me and I heard one of my Indian spirit guides. This is such a trip. He started talking into my left ear and he said my name 3 times and it was Gracen, Gracen, Gracen. And I was like, what? Am I fucking crazy? Am I tripping right now? What? What just happened? It was so crazy. And at the time, it startled me because I was in my room alone. My partner was out of the house for the day. I'm pretty sure my mom was asleep. Of course, it happens when nobody's around you. And I was like, did I just fucking hear a spirit guide? What was that? And so I sat there for about 20 minutes just kind of integrating that whole experience. And I was like, oh my God, I just heard my spirit guide for the first time. And it's funny because after he said my name 3 times, I paused for I want to say a couple of minutes. And then I said, what? What do you want? What is it? And I could never figure out why he was freaking out. And so I realized this about, I want to say a year later, I figured out why he was screaming at me. It was because I was not in alignment with going to that crystal shop anymore. They were basically warning me hey, this place is teaching you what not to do within spirituality and it's time for you to move on. And now you can take what you've learned here and, not be repeating what you have experienced here kind of thing. And so I was super grateful for that experience. And another experience that I had, now this dude wasn't a spirit guide, but he is, I want to say he's part of my spirit team, somebody supporting me on the other side. And one day I was sitting in my living room at my house. My mom was sitting in her bedroom. Oh, no. I was sitting in her bedroom. I was talking to her. And I remember I saw a flash, a face or some kind of color on her closet door. I said, Mom, there's somebody that just popped up on your closet door. She goes, oh, who is it? I said, I think it's your dad. And then literally seconds later, we hear a knock at our front door. I'm like, oh my God, who is it? Okay, so for those of you who don't know, about where I live. So I live in Riverton, Utah, and it's very common for a lot of Mormon missionaries, I think that's what you call them, to come around and like knock on your door all the time to like preach their own belief system to you, to join their church, yada, yada, yada. So anyway, I'm like, oh my God, like, I really don't want to talk to somebody right now. Like, I'm just going to like peek out the living room window. I'm like, just to see who it is, you know what I mean? And so I'm like crawling on my carpet floor to like peek out of my living room window to see who's at my door, because we don't have a peephole. And our window was cracked at the time because we have a swamp cooler in our house. So we had to keep one cracked open in order for the air to like flow pretty well. So anyway, I was creeping up to the window. I'm like, who is outside of my front door right now? And I see this Hispanic man, like, he's got this mustache. I want to say, this sounds really funny. The best way I can describe him, he kind of looks like a humanoid version of a potato man, like a potato head man. Like, that's literally what he reminded me of. And I was like, who is this guy? And why is he at my door? And he had like a construction vest on, which I thought was really interesting because there's a lot of construction always going on in our neighborhood and around our little main highway. So anyway, I'm like, okay, like this guy's wearing a construction vest. Like maybe he's like, you know, telling us like, hey, be careful, we're going to be installing something, you know, kind of thing. So I was like, interesting. Like just thinking that in my head as I'm staring at him. And the second we locked eyes, I shit you not, I moved my head while maintaining eye contact with him, and he literally followed me. Like, he followed my eyes, like, followed my movement, like, to where I was peeking. And I was like, what the hell? Like, it totally, like, freaked me out, of course, you know? Having that as, like, a first experience, like, a visual spirit experience, it, like, trips you out. And so I was like, Mom, oh my gosh, like, go look in the healing room, because my healing room is on the other side of my front door, and you can look out that window. I was like, Mom, go look out the window. Tell me if you see this man, like this man in a construction uniform. So she gets up and she goes out and she goes, oh my God, I see him. And he made eye contact with her. And so anyway, I literally got to channel that experience. And basically it was just to show me that I was going on the right track, and that, you know, what I'm seeing visually, like in the non-physical, is accurate, and my mom is there to validate me. So I'm not like making myself feel crazy, like, oh my God, did I really see that? Like, I'm not questioning myself. So anyway, that allowed me to trust myself, and it allowed me to trust more of the non-physical visual experiences that I have had since then. And so anyway, if you are looking to connect to your own spirit guides and you're trying to figure out what's the key to connecting with them, to hearing them, to experiencing them, obviously raise your vibration, do some inner work, heal some past life trauma, heal trapped emotions in the body, you know, releasing all of that old energy, old habits, old dysfunctional, you know, family bullshit that you absorbed. All of that stuff acts as heavy weights to your energy system. And the second that you start healing and releasing those kinds of things is the second that you're going to start having higher experiences, because they're more, you know, higher vibrational. And the lower vibrational things that sit in your energy at the current moment are weighing you down. And so in order to have a really cool experience with your spirit guides, you need to raise your vibration to meet them at their vibration. Because, you know, our spirit guides are not going to lower their vibration to something super low, right? Like, you wouldn't want to do that, like, on the other side if you were guiding somebody, you know what I mean? Like, oh, let me just, like, lower myself to 50 hertz to fear. Like, fuck no, you know what I mean? Because then you're going to start having non-physical experiences where you just perceive what fear looks like in that vibrational realm in the non-physical. And so anyway, that's a whole different tangent that I can get into. But that is what I recommend. There is a really good book out there. It's called How to Do the Work, and it's by Dr. Nicole LaPera. She's amazing. That's a really great beginner kind of area to start exploring inner work. I'm also creating some new courses on sexual trauma healing and financial wound healing. So that is dedicated to helping you heal your erotic self so that you can actually have a healthy relationship with yourself, with your sex life, with pleasure, and also to heal your abundance blocks and your financial blocks with the financial wound healing course. So I have a lot of cool downloads for that. Those are getting released in August, and I'm super excited to share that with you guys. So keep an eye out for those amazing gems. But yeah, so I think I'm just going to call it good there, and I cannot wait to talk about our next episode, which is going to be about how I started my spiritual practice. So that We're going to talk about how I clear energy and how I shield myself, just all the things. And I'm going to teach you guys how you can start clearing your energy, how you can start your own spiritual practice, and start gravitating towards things that resonate with you. So thank you so much for joining me on this episode, and I'll see you guys next time.